Good evening, everyone. We're ready to begin this evening's board meeting. Sergeant Arms, has the front lobby been attended to?
Yes.
Thank you, Chief. We request that all electronic devices be turned off or put in silent mode. Also, please refrain from using flash photography except during the special presentations portion of this meeting. I'm pleased to welcome you to the November 6, 2024 School Board meeting. The time is 6:01 p.m. and this meeting is hereby called to order. Prior to the start of tonight's board meeting, we have been enjoying the music performed by the Lee County District Saxophone Quartet. This group comprises students from 3 different high schools, including Cape Coral, Cypress Lake, and Fort Myers High. We have with us tonight Jamie Valero on soprano sax, Jared Boudry on alto sax, Samantha Santi Esteban Yanner on tenor sax, and Bailey Spano on baritone sax. You can see more of these students this weekend at the District 18 Marching Band Performance Assessment, Fort Myers High School. Let's give this group a round of applause. And if you all want to give us another one. Great job. We appreciate you. We'll take just a brief pause as they clear the floor. Okay, everyone. I'd also like to take this opportunity to remind the members of the public of the district's vision, which is to ensure that each student achieves his or her highest potential in the district's vision to be a world-class school system. On to this evening's agenda, which includes invocation, presentation of colors, and Pledge of Allegiance, acknowledgements, recognitions, information, public comment, consent action items, which include 1 item under Board Office, 1 item under Executive Services, 2 items under Academic Services, 3 items under Business Services, 4 items under Human Resources, one of which is good cause. So, Dr. Savage, please provide an explanation for that good cause item, sir.
Yes, Chairman. This matter is presented as good cause so the district staff can implement the changes to the salary schedule necessitated by the tentative agreement with SPALC. These changes must occur by November 27th in order to make the December 13th payroll.
Thank you, Dr. Savage. I hereby find good cause to add this item to the agenda. Thank you. We also have 10 items under operations, 1 item under public hearing, and 4 items under good of the order and other business. Board members, is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda? Mr. Persons?
I make a motion we approve tonight's agenda.
We have a second?
I'll second.
Moved by Mr. Persons, second by Ms. Langford Fleming. Please record your vote. We have a count? Thank you. Motion carries 7-0. As is the custom of the board, Mr. Persons will lead us in invocation, after which Ms. Juvenelli will lead us in the presentation of colors and Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Heavenly Father, as we gather here today for this school board meeting, we seek your guidance, wisdom, and blessings. May our discussions be filled with understanding and respect, fostering an environment of unity and cooperation. Let us always remember the immense responsibility we have in shaping the future of our youth. We ask for your wisdom to navigate the challenges ahead and for the courage to make the tough decisions when necessary. May our actions today positively impact the lives of students for generations to come. Father God, in your name, we pray for the safety of all our students and staff and for a productive and harmonious school board meeting. Amen.
Please remain standing. Introducing the cadet who will present the national colors tonight is Lieutenant Colonel Scott Bernardo, Senior Army Instructor for the Cypress Lake High School JROTC program. Lieutenant Colonel Bernardo retired from the United States Army after many years of distinguished service in positions of increasing responsibility. This is his 8th year as an instructor in the district. Thank you for serving our country, and thank you for serving our students.
Thank you, Ms. Juvenile. Presenting the national colors tonight is Cadet Colonel Karina Santiago. Cadet Santiago is a senior at Cypress Lake High School and an outstanding example of a leader and citizen. She is the top cadet in her program and the deputy area commander for the school district. She has served as a varsity member and captain of the Panther Raider team, drill team, and color guard team. She's also a member of the prestigious National Honor Society. After high school, she plans to attend the University of Tampa and pursue a degree in sports medicine and ROTC. Please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Please be seated. Moving on to item number B, acknowledgements. The character word for November is patriotism. Patriotism, respectful devotion of allegiance to one's country. The design you see displayed in the screen was created by Annabella Britz, a 12th grade student at Estero High School, so as you can see on our screen. I also want to move on to now acknowledgements for the month of November. The School Board of Lee County acknowledges the following state-recognized event for the month of 2024, Holocaust Education Week, the week of November 4th through November 8th, 2024. So now, board members, we're going to move on to recognition, so please join us in the pit.
Good evening. The School District of Lee County is proud to recognize Daniel Lynn of Cape Coral High School for winning the 2024 Florida High School Athletic Association's Individual Bowling State Championship. The competition was held in Orlando, Florida from October 29th through the 31st of 2024 under the leadership of Coach Lamar Bryan. The school board and superintendent are pleased to recognize Daniel for his commitment, determination, and hard work that led to this outstanding accomplishment. Congratulations. Awesome. Awesome work. Good job.
One more thing, so everyone stay down here. Thank you. It's not you, Dan. Thank you. Board Member Morgan, could you take a few steps forward, please? On behalf of the School District of Lee County, it is my honor to recognize and thank Kathleen Morgan for exemplary service and dedication over the past 12 years as a board member, first representing District 3 and now District 7. First elected in 2012 and re-elected in 2016 and again in 2020, Kathleen has played an instrumental role in advancing our mission to ensure high-quality education for every student in Lee County. Her extensive professional background in finance and education, combined with her experience on the Board of Education in Rye, New York, and her deep commitment to our community, has driven her advocacy for strategic planning, financial stewardship, and accountability within our district. Her leadership has also been vital in fostering meaningful changes that support student performance and improve district operations. In fact, Kathleen has been a tireless advocate in support of early childhood education, leading to developments of such center as the new one at G. Weaver Hips. Kathleen's unwavering dedication to fostering educational excellence, strategic governance, and community advocacy is a testament to her passion for public service. Her presence and insight on the board will be deeply missed, but her legacy of service will continue to inspire us. Kathleen, thank you for your commitment to our students and our district and this board. We're going to wish you the best in our future endeavors, and we're going to miss you, Kathleen. Thank you.
And now if Ms. Patrico will step forward. On behalf of the School Board of Lee County, it is my honor to recognize and thank Chris Patrico for her years of service and dedication as a member of the Lee County School Board. Chris, a native of Boston with a lifelong love for the Patriots and all things Boston, brought her academic rigor and passion for justice to Lee County. Since 2016, Chris has represented District 3 with unwavering commitment, engaging deeply in initiatives that strengthen our schools, empower students, and connect our community. Her work with the Finance Advisory Committee, the Florida High School Athletic Association, and her leadership with the Florida School Boards Association have left an enduring mark on our district and our state. Chris's advocacy for junior achievement of Southwest Florida and her role in creating educational partnerships like the one with Engage Estero exemplify her vision and her dedication. Chris, your legacy is a profound testament to your dedication to our students, our families, and our schools. We thank you for your leadership and wish you the very best as you continue to inspire those around you. Thank you.
No, he's got something. He's got something. Yeah, I'm sorry. He's right over there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Just one more thing, of course, right? Well, Mr. Fisher, if you could please also step forward, sir. Yeah. Sir, on behalf of the School District of Lee County, I would like to extend our heartfelt thanks to Mr. Sam Fisher for his dedicated service as chairman of the school board over the past year. As a small business owner and father of 3 children that attend Lee County schools, Mr. Fisher has brought a deeply invested perspective to the school board, balancing his responsibilities as a community leader with his role as a parent in our district. Mr. Fisher's extensive experience in law, administration, and community advocacy has been invaluable in guiding our district through critical issues and in shaping a positive direction for our students, staff, and families. During his tenure as chairman, Sam has demonstrated exceptional leadership, working tirelessly to ensure that our school board operates efficiently and with integrity. He has fostered an environment of collaboration and thoughtful decision-making, all while maintaining a steadfast focus on what is best for our students and community. Mr. Fisher, thank you for your dedication, your vision, and the countless hours that you have given to our district as chairman of the school board this past year.
And now, Chair Fisher, it's my turn. Attorney Dupree Bruno, would you mind joining the board in the pit, please? And Dr. Savage, if you can please step forward, sir. Thank you. On behalf of the School Board of Lee County, I am honored to recognize Dr. Ken Savage for his exceptional commitment and willingness to serve as the interim superintendent for a second time. When asked, Dr. Savage graciously accepted the call to lead the district during its transitional period. Dr. Savage has a passion for data analytics and, as such, embarked on a deep dive into the district's historical academic performance spanning at least a decade. The analysis led him to the conclusion that transformative changes were needed to ensure academic outcomes became more aligned with a world-class school system. These changes were neither easy nor universally accepted. Yet, Dr. Savage knew that prioritizing the needs of our students was paramount. His tenure was not without the test of Mother Nature. He navigated 2 hurricanes, Helene and Milton, and we thank him for keeping the collective best interest of everyone at the forefront. As we prepare for the next phase of our district's journey, we know that he will play a pivotal role in supporting the work and holding everyone accountable for outcomes. On behalf of the board, the leadership team, and the district at large, we thank you for your contributions.
Okay, thank you. That's the last surprise.
That's the last surprise.
That's really nice. That's really kind of you. I tell you what.
I want to thank all the staff that made this happen and really arranged for this, and I'm just so proud to sit with everyone up here. So, okay, back to the business of the district. We're going to move on to D, information. So whenever you're ready, Dr. Savage, please proceed.
Yes, on my behalf today, and I'll certainly add in any additional where I can, but we're in good hands with Mr. Frederick Ross, who's our Executive Director in the operations area. He's going to provide us an update on the Hurricane Milton recovery. This is just good substantive information that kind of shines a light on some of that work that is underway and gives a little bit more detail and even some photos about the work that is happening so that our community can keep track of how we're recovering. With that said, I turn it over to Mr. Ross.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Savage. To our board chair, board members, Dr. Savage, Attorney Dupree Bruno. Again, Frederick Ross from the Facility Operations Division, here to talk about our post-Milton assessments and impact and some of the communication that went out around it. Before I get started, I'd be remiss if I don't talk about the team that it takes to reopen a school district of this size after any storm and hurricane event. Starting with our maintenance department, who's out there right after the storm. As soon as the all clear is given by our emergency operation authorities, they're out inspecting schools, moving debris, starting to make those repairs so that we can get schools open as soon as possible. Also, our team of contractors, insurance and FEMA consultants that we rely on, all to, again, help meet that goal. Internally, can't have to thank our other divisions, technology team, they're in there with their technology assessing, getting those things ready, our food and nutrition service department, business services, even though they're, not out there in the field, they're back at home sometimes getting us POs and getting us contractors and getting things going. Our insurance and benefits team out there with the insurance assessing. So a big team, I'm sure I'm leaving some out, but a big team to reopen the school district. Also can't forget the schools and their building supervisors, the food service managers, their principals, their APs that sometimes we have to call on to ask where something is or ask them, can they, maybe come out and look at something at a school. So just a very big team effort. So just a summary of the impact. The majority of our damages were minor. I'll set 2 schools aside, Fort Myers Beach and Sanibel. But in general, we were looking at damages such as ceiling leaks, roof leaks, ceiling tiles down, a lot of debris, similar to the whole area, a lot of signage and sunshades, things down like that. The effort is to make sure we clear those things so we can reopen schools and students and faculty can come back safely. Our biggest obstacle for Hurricane Milton was power. We suffered power outages at 32% of those facilities, and some of those were coming on and off as late as that Sunday evening, still trying to assess the power of that school and, get flashing lights and handle the power surges that come with, and the fire alarm system going off, the things that come with the electricity going off and coming back on. So definitely our biggest obstacles, and definitely you can see a few examples of pictures of some of those damages. In terms of reopening the school, had the goal of getting things done in that 48-hour period of Thursday, Friday, right out there, knowing we did have a weekend to back into it, and we were working all through that weekend, but started with the pre-storm assessment. That's before the storm, getting out there, getting photos and drone footage of current conditions for, to be able to compare, for FEMA and insurance purposes. And also working with our schools, mainly our building supervisors there at the school locations to secure those facilities, tie down those things that are loose, pull in those trash cans, pull in those athletic equipment items that can be pulled in to really secure those facilities prior to the storm. Once the storm comes and we get the all clear to get back out, our goal was to get those assessments done. That's, again, that team of maintenance and contractors and consultants going out there, assessing those schools based on SREF standards. Can we serve food? Does the intercom and fire system work? Are there any safety hazards? Are there any debris in the, blocking the school? Indoor air quality, is there a need for testing? If testing has been done, is there a negative test results? Assessing those schools to make sure it's safe to reopen in that phase one. Phase two, once we are able to open, we're still ongoing, collecting now post-damage assessments of photos, again, drone footage, so we can have that comparison and capturing all that data. And then moving into phase three where needed for that permanent, or whether it be remediation or permanent repairs. We saw the data with the service requests that have already been received, and they'll be coming in through the end of this week, and further working with our insurance and FEMA consultants if necessary for cost damages. Now to speak on the two schools I set aside. First, Sanibel. Sanibel actually took on about 8 to 10 inches of water in the lower part of the campus. You can see pictures of remediation staff in there. The goal was in the scope to remediate, to prevent ongoing damage and growth, ripping out the carpet, cutting out the drywall as high as a little bit higher than the water came in, assessing that damage and looking to conduct that indoor air quality test to make sure we get a negative result before allowing staff or students to enter that room or facility. And then you can also see the locations within the Sanibel campus and those building numbers where that damage was, where that water was intrude and that damage was located. And then Fort Myers Beach similarly took on water. There was that calculated a 3-foot surge. Now, Fort Myers Beach Elementary is up a little bit, so it has a 2.5-foot subfloor. With that whole, so going up 3 feet, that whole subfloor was completely soaked, and then about 6 inches above the floor. So again, same playbook. Remediation, tearing out, there was the hardwood floors, cutting out the drywall, all that subflooring has to go as well. Again, remediation for the water damage. At Fort Myers Beach, we still have that electrical room that's at ground level. So some electrical repairs for that damage. We're looking to elevate that as part of the some of the repairs that will be ongoing. And then again, because of that crawl space underneath a lot of all that all the water literally came from the up from underneath. So all that sediment and debris under the crawl space also needed to be cleaned out. That was kind of the two differences from Sanibel and Fort Myers Beach. But Fort Myers Beach is that entire, main facility, and then obviously that electrical room we talked about, and then you can see some of those pictures of some of the work they had to do to rip some of that flooring out. And then outside there's still the huge sunshade damage out there, canopy as well. So Fort Myers Beach is going to be the biggest impact we received and the most work in terms of repair work. During hurricane times and similar in Hurricane Milton, communications with our staff, our families is very important. This slide includes information on the messages that were sent to all families and staff before, during, and post Hurricane Milton. This includes emails, texts, website, and social media reach. Additional information was shared via our different media partners. And then last slide on communications, once the district was opened, the focus was on the communication was the staff and the families of specifically Fort Myers Beach Elementary and the Sanibel School. This slide includes the dates and topics of messages sent via email and text and the open rate for those messages, which is approximately 90% for Fort Myers Beach and 94% for Sanibel School. A more recent message was sent on Friday, November 1st, and there will be another communication sent out later this week and weekly until the projects are complete. And that is the conclusion of the update. I'll turn it over to Dr. Savage for any comments.
Yes, thank you. And Mr. Ross, just a big thank you to you. I know you and Ms. Cedeno, our leader of the maintenance department, had a heavy lift along with many other departments. It's just important for everyone to understand that our maintenance department, while it's a department to service our entire district, and so when you have over 103 sites, the challenge there is that your maintenance is typically routed to work on things like preventative maintenance, routine maintenance requests. They aren't necessarily a group that, based on the trade variety and whatnot, are designed to respond to a massive, response type of impact like they're doing. And so when you think about that in conjunction with the different school-based staff, it really was a massive effort in a very short period of time. And as I mentioned before, they're doing so in some cases when their own personal situation has also been adversely impacted, and while there still is lacking power and things along those lines. So tremendous scope. I appreciate you giving that information, Mr. Ross, but we also just want to have a chance for the board members. Obviously, you sometimes get questions. We want to make sure that for this, if there are any other questions that you maybe want answered, well, we can do that at this time as well about the recovery effort.
Thank you, Dr. Savage. Board member questions and comments? I see Ms. Jordan's hand raised. Sorry.
I just have the one question, and maybe just clarification for those who are looking at it. So the Sanibel, you have the open rates for the emails. So you have the Fort Myers Beach, and then you have the Sanibel. One was 544, and one was, I'm sorry, I can't remember what page it was on. But that was because of the amount of students, correct? Just so that people are not looking at it and go, why did Sanibel get 544 emails?
Could you go back? Sorry, could you go back, Mr. Ross, just so we can talk about this a bit? So
Yeah.
You're talking about
You see
these
what I'm
ones?
saying? Yeah.
So these communicate, just to be clear, that's a great point. So this, and just a reminder, this presentation, obviously he presented it live, is going to be uploaded into Board Docs, so it'll be consumed by the public. They have the ability to actually download, look at it, and ask additional questions. So great opportunity to clarify.
Yeah.
This refers to actual communications. And so what this shows with the open rate is that when you send it to a family, did they then open the communication? So it isn't necessarily the open of the school, it has to do with an opening of the communication. So did they open the message and so forth? That's what this was for.
No, what I'm speaking of, you see where it states 162 emails for Fort Myers Beach, and then you look at 544, but that is because of the amount of families in one school versus the other school.
Right.
Because if you just look at that, you're
Right.
like, why did they get
Yeah.
544
Per size,
emails?
yeah, there you go.
Okay, thank
Absolutely.
you.
Thank you.
Any other board member comments, questions? Okay, seeing none? Thank you, Dr. Savage.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. Moving on to the next item will be public comment. Attorney Debris Bruno, please address the item of public comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening. School board policy provides the opportunity at this point in the meeting to address the board concerning any matter on this meeting's agenda or any other matter relevant to the operation of the school district. Please complete a public comment card and put it in the basket provided. If you need a public comment card, they are provided by our staff. The rules concerning public comment are posted in the back and will be made from the podium in the front center aisle. Please be advised that the board will not respond during public comment to remarks made by speakers. Concerns will be addressed by the superintendent or his staff as necessary, and the chair may comment as deemed appropriate at the conclusion of public comment. The superintendent or board attorney may also comment if deemed appropriate. The purpose of public comment is to provide feedback on district issues such as duties, responsibilities, decisions, the general operation of the district. The school board is viewpoint neutral during public comment. We ask that decorum be kept and respect be shown, which is what is expected when a government agency conducts official business. Therefore, abusive language, defined as swearing, use of profanity, or name-calling, is prohibited. In addition, clapping, hissing, booing, or display of temper during public comment is prohibited. Speakers who fail to follow proper decorum in the chambers will be ruled out of order by the board chair or the board attorney. Any speaker continuing with such remarks will be required to relinquish the microphone per board policy 0169.1 and may be removed from the chambers by the sergeant at arms. Per board policy 0169.1, the time per speaker is 3 minutes if there are 20, 2 minutes if there are 30, and 1 minute if there are 31 speakers or more. The maximum time allotted for public comment is 1 hour, 60 speakers. You will find a countdown on the big screen in the front of the room. Once your time has elapsed, the microphone will automatically shut off. Please state your name when you approach the microphone. Mr. Chairman, there are 4 individuals that would like to address the board this evening.
Thank you. I turn to Bree Bruno. Please ensure you have completed a public comment card to provide public comment. The card is a public record identifying those who speak and providing contact information to staff for follow-up. The cards are located with staff in the hallway. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the board but has not filled out a comment card? Please raise your hand. Okay. Seeing none, I turn to Bree Bruno. Please proceed with public comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Will the following individuals please line up? Arlise Williams, Terry Kennedy, Monica Haim, Ellen Ryan Vinciguerra.
Hello, good evening. My name is Arlise Williams. I am the president of the Support Personnel Association of Lee County, and I just came to say to all of you tonight, thank you. Thank you, Catherine Bruno and your team. I see Rob is here. Also let Chorus know that I said thank you. Thank you, Dr. Savage. Thank you all board members for the work you have done on the behalf of all support staff of Lee County. Your decision made a real difference, and I wanted just to let you know we appreciate your commitment and thank you. Have a good evening.
Hello. Just to introduce myself again, I'm Ellen Ryan Vinciguerra, and I'm the DAC rep at the Sanibel School. I want to thank you so much for that update. That was just, even seeing pictures was a huge, boost to the information. We've come so far from last month's board meeting, and we appreciate so much the communication that our principal, Ms. Lusk, has shared with the parents, and are so appreciative of the hard work that has gone into organizing a plan to return to our school, yay, while the lower school is being remediated and rebuilt. We also want to congratulate Ms. Carlin on her successful campaign for superintendent, and thank you all who are departing for your commitment and service, and we look forward to working with her in a successful partnership. We would like to take positive steps forward to a fruitful partnership with the parents of the Sanibel School and the district, and the parents would still like more and consistent information regarding the scope of damage from Hurricane Milton to the Sanibel School and how we can better prepare for the future. We would like to work together to prepare for what lies ahead. What is the strategic plan and how is that impacting the remediations currently being done? While no one can predict the twists and turns of Mother Nature, I believe preparing for the inevitable next storm is a no-brainer. So we invite Ms. Carlin and the school board to discuss with us what that partnership could look like to mutually benefit our students to have a safe, healthy, and stable learning environment. And a huge thank you again to Heights for hosting us and just being awesome. So thank you so much.
Good evening, board members, Superintendent Savage, and Attorney Dupre Bruno. As you all know, my name is Terry Kennedy, and I'm currently serving as the Executive Director for the Lee County Educational Administrators Association. I retired from the district in January, and I replaced Michelle Pescatrice, who served in that capacity for 8 years. The Lee County Educational Administrators Association was founded in 1990, and our primary purpose is to advocate regarding administrative concerns. We do actually have a website. It's lcaa.com, where you can see additional information regarding the purpose and information related to the things that we do, such as providing $1,000 scholarships to our seniors, providing legal assistance for administrators, as well as lobbying during FAFSA legislative days. I don't know the exact number of senior scholarships we've provided over the 34 years, but I do know that we've provided at least 250,000 over the past 10 years. While I have met with the majority of you individually on various occasions, the primary work of the association is done behind the scenes. On October 22nd at the board workshop, you were provided information through a presentation from Dr. Desamores regarding the necessary changes in administrative pay due to many inequities that were created throughout the years. The actual plan was created and then presented to the various administrative groups this past week. While the intent was to fix inequity in the administrative salary ranges, there were concerns with the initial plan as it fixed some issues but created a few new ones. Many administrators reached out to express their concerns. I was able to share these concerns with both Dr. Savage and Dr. Desamores. I want to acknowledge the work done by both of them as they listened, they worked to clarify and understand, and then reworked multiple times to create a more equitable, competitive administrative pay structure that can be used for today as well as in the future. Is the plan perfect? I don't know that we'd ever say that there's a perfect salary plan, but I do know that it's more equitable, more competitive, and it helped to support the groups that felt undervalued. There's still a great deal of work to be done in phase 2, where value will be placed on the specific work that is done rather than the person. Dr. Savage, I want to thank Dr. Savage and Dr. Desamore for listening, caring, and quickly taking the time to make a better plan. I'd also like to thank Mr. Fisher and board members for recognizing the need for change and for your approval of this plan. I'd also like to congratulate our newly elected superintendent, Dr. Denise Carlin, and as well as our new board members, Vanessa Chaviano and Bill Ribble. The LCAA board is hosting an administrative social to welcome our superintendent and board members at the district on December 9th.
Time is up. Thank you, Mrs. Kennedy.
I'd like to say hello to Dr. Savage and the school board. I'm an educator in Lee County.
Mike. A second.
And school districts across the state are facing challenges. To address this, voters in 25 of Florida's 67 counties have approved a millage referendum to provide additional funding to pay their teachers and support staff and more. This election, 7 more districts approved millage to support the operations. We have 204 days left of school, May 30th. And I would like to know, what is the plan that we are are working on to improve education. I don't know if you guys know the severity. I know you hear it, but I mean, it's severe. We are a Jenga block, and it's just the gaps keep getting bigger, and I'm worried. I come from a long line of educators in my family. They live out of state, but it's bad, and we just need a lot of help. And I don't know that we can last much longer with what we're doing now. So I'd like to have just some ideas of where we're moving and what we're doing to support that, and even consider a millage tax here in the near future. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes public comment.
Thank you. Dr. Savage and Attorney Dubry Bruno, is there anything you wish to comment in regards to public comment?
I don't have anything, just again, congratulations to SPALC, and thank you to SPALC for working with us to come to a resolution. So we appreciate your collaboration with us. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Chairman, it's my last meeting here, so I think I'd like to acknowledge all four speakers in some substantive way. The first thing I'd like to do is just recognize our president of SPALC, who offered great thanks to the entire board, and I think it's really from each of our different vantage points, it is really important to recognize the collective advocacy that we all, in our various roles, we're really trying to do the very best we can to take care of our employees. And I just hope that the board really understands how appreciative they were and the time it takes to do it. And then all the people behind our support staff union president that also really understand and appreciate that we are making every effort we can to try to help all of our employees. So that's one piece I just want to acknowledge, because it was just really a thank you. I want to shift then to the association lead for the administrators. While we don't negotiate with the association, this is, again, one of the critical reasons why we have an association, because they're trying to aggregate and give voice to the system-wide issues of it. That's really what allowed us, and I just really want to give Dr. Desamore credit. I provided my little bit of assistance. The reality was Dr. Desamore, who did an incredible amount of work, and then also the entire team who worked in the compensation team effort. It's been a huge body of work with Evergreen that worked on this in HR, with Angela Montemoreno, with Kirsten, and with many other folks, including Mr. Dodig was a part of that team, a lot of folks who did months and months and months in work. And of course, Dr. Bernier, while he was still here, commissioned that work. It's a huge body of work to undertake to get all that market analysis. And so to be able to put some finishing touches to try to make sure that as employees migrate in, which is such a complex thing, to try to make tweaks and adjustments so that they can be properly handled in that phase one piece was such a huge effort. And it really is Dr. Desamore, who I would say did the largest lift in those final hours to get us to where we were today. It didn't substantively change the schedule, but it did change how people were applied within that schedule. So that's a fundamental difference there. But really, I want to draw light on the importance of the association, because that really is what's critical in helping us understand those systemic issues that we were then able to address quickly. To the Sanibel School DAC representative here, we thank you for your service in the DAC, and we appreciate your advocacy for that. We really also thank you for acknowledging the principal, who, again, the principals of our schools really are the administrative agents. They are all district employees, all the folks who work for them. So there is really just one district. It isn't district and schools. We are just one district, and that chief academic, that is the officer of that school, that is the administrator for that piece. So they really are the nexus that we work directly with to try to assist that school. And so I'm glad that communication has been excellent there. And I'm glad that the PowerPoint presentation was helpful to kind of see more of the broader sense of that. And that's certainly something that we'll have for the folks to consume information as well. Also very excited about the future building. That's when we talk about a strategic piece of building. That is critical. The next word about how we approach those barrier island schools, both Sanibel and Fort Myers Beach, it's not really remediation. It's the next work of building back smarter. What does that look like? And then the last one is just to address was one of our educators, comes from a long line of educators, as does my family. Most everyone in my family has also been an educator as well. It's critical. We talk about, education and trying to do it. It is also revenue. It's a challenge in our state. One of the challenges we have is that we try to be the most efficient we can in our state to provide the highest level of quality at the most efficiency. But it's always important that when we're talking about paying folks, we are talking about it through the understanding of revenue as well, because revenue is critical. That's how you balance your budget. It's all about that revenue equation as well. So the more we really educate and inform that, then they understand the difficult constraints that this board and the administration is placed to try to create a budget that is balanced. It's all based on that revenue formula as well. So I appreciate the ask about different revenue options and so forth, but in the meantime of that, we will constantly try to be the best stewards of the dollars we have, and that's really not just for the educators, for all of our employees. That said, those were the four the speakers. I wanted to make sure I gave color to those comments.
Thank you, Dr. Savage. I just want to say thank you, everyone. We on the board, we appreciate our employees and all the hard work that they do. Dr. Savage, I don't know if you could have one of your staff members ask for the date on regarding Mrs. Kennedy had mentioned event, so.
I will.
So thank you, and thank you everyone for your feedback. It's truly appreciated. We're going to move on to now the items in the consent agenda. Next are the items in consent agenda. The documentation for action items listed under consent is made available to board members 7 business days prior to the board meeting. We are expected to review all the material, and we have an opportunity to speak with the superintendent with any questions we may have regarding the recommendations. Some of these items may also have been briefed or workshopped with the board in advance of appearing on the action agenda. Board member, are there any items you wish to pull for further discussion? Ms. Giovanelli?
I have none, thank you.
Ms. Patrica?
No, thank you.
Ms. Jordan?
No, thank you.
Mr. Persons?
No, thank you.
Ms. Langford Fleming?
I do not have any. Thank you.
Ms. Morgan?
I have none, thank you.
And I have none. So is there can I entertain a motion to approve tonight's action consent items?
I'll move to approve tonight's consent items.
I'll second, thank you.
Okay, moved by Ms. Langford Fleming and second Ms. Giovanelli. Please record your vote. Motion carries 7-0. Next, we're going to move on to item R, public hearings. Dr. Savage, whenever you're ready, please present your recommendation for this evening's public hearing item.
Yes, Chairman. Recommend the approval to adopt new and revised board policies in compliance with changes in related rules, regulations, and statutes, to adopt best practices and promote transparency and accountability. The effective date of this adoption shall be November 7th, 2024.
Well, thank you, Dr. Savage. We'll now recess the regular school board meeting and open the public hearing. The time is 6:53 p.m. As indicated, the public hearing this evening is considered Sorry about that. Let me re-go. We'll now recess the regular school board meeting and open the public hearing. The time is 6:53 p.m. As indicated, the public hearing this evening is considered Dr. Savage's recommendations as previously stated. At this time, the public will be invited to speak on this one item. The time allowed for public comment is 3 minutes. So we're going to go through each of the ones. Attorney Dupree Bruno then. So we're going to go through seeing if anyone wants to address the board regarding to approval to adopt the new and revised board policies in compliance with changes in related rules, regulations, and statutes to adopt best practices and promote transparency and accountability. The effective date of this adoption shall be November 7, 2024. So we're going to go by series here. First one will be Chapter 1000 Administration. Is there anyone in the audience that hereby wants to give any public comment on said item? Seeing none. Chapter 3000, Instructional Staff. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to give public comment on Chapter 3000? Seeing none, moving on to Chapter 4000, Support Staff. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to give public comment on 4000? Seeing none. Chapter 6000, Finances. Anyone wishing to give public comment? Seeing none. Chapter 8000, Operations. Anyone wishing to address this item in public comment? Seeing none. Chapter 9000, Community Relations. Anyone wishing to address this item in public comment? Okay. And then new policies, excessive force, as well as name and image likeness. Anyone wishing to give public comment on either of those policies? Seeing none, I will now close the public hearing and reconvene the regular school board meeting of November 6, 2024. The time is 6:55 p.m. Dr. Savage, please restate your recommendation for this evening's public hearing.
Yes, Chairman, they recommend the approval to adopt new and revised board policies in compliance with changes in related rules, regulations, and statutes, to adopt best practices and promote transparency and accountability. The effective date of this adoption shall be November 7th, 2024.
Board, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation to adopt new and revised policies in compliance with changes in related rules, regulations, and statutes to adopt best practices and promote transparency and accountability. The effective date of this adoption shall be November 7, 2024. Is there a motion to approve these policies? Ms. Jordan?
I move to approve the adopted new and revised board policies.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved by Ms. Jordan, second Ms. Langford Fleming. Do we have any discussions up on the dais in regards to the policies? Okay. Seeing none, at this point, please record your vote. Motions for the policies passed 7-0. Dr. Savage or Attorney Bruno, is there anything you wish to address about the public, about the policies we just passed?
No, I have none. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I neither, Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Now we're going to move on to go to the order and other board comments. We're going to go a little bit out of order today. So we're going to start with Ms. Juvenelli.
I'll be quick so the other board members can take the time and the opportunity. I just want to bring up the fact that on the good cause item regarding the SPALC bargaining agreement that we did tonight and the administrative salary, I think it's important that we start somewhere, and I'm excited that it was a little bit of a process. It was a lot longer, I think, with the process and the situation, but I really want to thank staff and the bargaining team and Attorney Bruno and her team for the mediation and resolving and getting everybody to the table to move forward. So I'm excited about that. And as one speaker mentioned, it's not perfect, but I think it's a start, and there's opportunity for part two. So I look forward to that and that partnership and relationship, and to do what's best for our staff at this district. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Juvenelli. Ms. Jordan?
Okay, I'll do mine really quick. I had the opportunity to visit or to attend the West Regional New Teachers Boot Camp and Celebration at Calusa. It was really nice to see the same teachers that we had seen earlier in the year when they first got here, and we told them that we were going to lock them into Lee County, that they could not leave. But it was great for them to all come together. Cape Coral actually, their band came in and performed for them, so it started off the morning really wonderful. One of the young men that was here today earlier was one of those who played that day. Also earlier today, I was able to attend the Career Expo for high school students with disabilities at Buckingham Exceptional Center, and it was really great to see all the vendors there and helping the kids, the high school kids, learn a new trade, and just watching them interact with everything and knowing that, there's a future for them. So that was really heartfelt. And I also just because I want to give everybody else time, I just want to thank the Cornerstone Church. They were doing a holiday outreach, and they are providing many turkeys and meals for a lot of our families in the community, in the district, a couple, almost 3,000. So I just wanted to thank them on behalf of myself and hopefully us. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
Oh,
Jordan.
and I'm sorry, one more thing. And I truly am going to miss sitting next to Chris over here. And for all these years, I really appreciate that. And Ms. Morgan, thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Jordan. Mr. Persons?
Going a little bit off script here. We just finished the Halloween celebrations among all the schools. I just would like to see some kind of uniformity among all the elementary schools, particularly. Some allowed their students to wear costumes. I don't think any of them allowed them to wear masks, but costumes without masks. Others did not. Some gave out candy, they had different things, others did not. So I think we need a uniformity. If it's a cost thing there, I think in our district, we could come up with some money for some candy. I don't think that's a huge problem. We can get some donations or something from the foundation. But anyway, it's just, we got a year to do it, but if we could come up with something, be thinking outside the box or whatever, I would really appreciate it. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Persons. Ms. Langford Fleming?
I'm very grateful that Halloween, for teachers, Halloween will be on Friday next year. I'm very grateful for you for that. I understand. I'm fighting for a hurricane makeup day, November 1st. I want to defer my time to our colleagues on the board. I do want to congratulate our local elected officials last night, and thank you, because anybody who campaigns, whether you agree with that person or disagrees, they put their heart on their sleeve, and it's hard on them and it's hard on their family for however many months they're doing it. So thank you. And to my colleagues on the board that are leaving us, I truly want to thank you for the servant's heart that you've had for this community. I respect you, and I have learned from you, and the wisdom you've brought to the board is bar none. So thank you so much for what you've done for this, for the children and the families of Lee County. And I say this all the time to my team. Ms. Patrica she knows how team-oriented I am. We've had these discussions. But alone, we can do very little, but together we can do a whole lot. So I just want to say thank you, and that's all.
Thank you, Ms. Langford Fleming. Turning to Bree Bruno.
Just want to say thank you to Mrs. Morgan and Ms. Patrica for your service to the district. And also, Mr. Chairman, we've had a very interesting year. This is your last meeting of being the chairman. Next time we will be reorganizing, so thank you for your service. It's been a pleasure to work with you. And to our newly elected board members, Mr. Ribble and Ms. Chaviano, I'm looking forward to serving you as your counsel. And of course, great congratulations to our newly elected superintendent, Dr. Denise Collins. I know that legal is quite excited to be able to support you as well. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Turn to Bree Bruno. So I'm going to echo much of what everyone else said up here. Welcome as well to Superintendent-elect Carlin, Board Member-elect Ribble, and Board Member-elect Chaviano. Looking forward to working with the new board members. So I want to thank obviously 3 people right here that we've already kind of talked about. Ms. Patrica, obviously, I've truly appreciated your time up here. I appreciate our lively discussions. We've been able to push each other up here, so I appreciate that. And, you know, it's been a pleasure. So, and I'll leave you with go Giants. But Ms. Morgan, likewise, thank you, especially, as I said, especially, the questions you asked, especially how you look into financials and that stuff. You're looking into the way you do that. I appreciate that so much. And all you've done, and as I said, your wisdom and your knowledge. So I know the 3, we're no longer newbies, I guess we can say, anymore board members. I know we've looked to both of you up here, as well as obviously Ms. Giovanelli and Ms. Jordan, for that to learn from, and some wisdom. So we appreciate that. So Dr. Savage, I've already said a lot about you today, so I'll give you 1 second. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for stepping up. So I don't think people truly understand what the job of superintendent is, and it's 24/7. And I know how much you've committed yourself to this district, and it shows, and we truly appreciate it. So next, I will go over to now you, Dr. Savage.
Thank you, Chairman. And I will say, it's interesting. I've been an administrator. It's crazy to think how the time goes. Almost 20 years now, administration, and most of it, almost all of it, was in this district. So I've done, from assistant principal, I've been in a whole lot of different schools. When you get the opportunity to serve in a role such as this, it is absolutely the greatest professional privilege that I could have ever imagined, and I never would have imagined doing this. When I didn't even think I'd be in education, let alone serving as this administrative executive function for a board or whatnot, or even what that would entail. But when you have the opportunity to really see this system through the lens of how critical it is to this entire community, and how much the decisions we make impact the daily lives of so many people, whether it's as the employer, whether it's transforming the future, whether it's supporting a workforce, and with lots of challenges through very challenging times. It is an incredible privilege, and it is humbling every single day. And so I would just say it is the ultimate, I will say my colleague, Ms. Patrica, one of the things, it's a real team sport. This is a sport that while I get to be the one sitting at a dais and having an opportunity to share these comments and to take direction from the board, there is a tremendous amount of work that happens constantly for the people who are putting kids at the forefront. And that is really the big honor for me, is to know that I get to be the chief ambassador for a lot of people who work so very hard to try to help serve our community in ways that folks will never be able to thank them enough. And I get to be the symbolic representation of that along with this board. And so that standpoint is just a tremendous honor, and I'm so grateful for all my colleagues who I've had both past and present. And I didn't think I'd be sitting up here again, but I'm grateful for the opportunity, because that's the last thing I will say is what an opportunity has been to serve this board. What a tremendous privilege it has been to work with you, to really, now that I better understand what it is to even be the executive and serve in this function, what a privilege has been to work for this board. And I just have to close with a special thank you to our also two outgoing board members. Ms. Langford-Fleming, you said it so very well. Ms. Patrica, obviously we have plenty of times where we don't always agree on things eye to eye, but I know that at the core, you are there to really try to support our people always, whether it's our staff, our students, that was always a driving focus for you, and that was so evident. And the hard pushes, those hard conversations privately to try to push and push and push, and it's for that interest, and it was so evident. And so your 8 years and all that you've experienced in those 8 years, it's a lot as well. I had a blip of that time, so I just can only imagine what it's been like for you. So grateful for that, as well as Ms. Morgan. Over 12 years, she has served this district. 12 years. I've been here for almost all of that 12 years. I've seen the challenges of how our district, some of the discontinuity we had to deal with, some of the challenges from a community standpoint, from seen the changing demographics, we've seen how these different things, I've seen it, and you've been there through all of that, Ms. Morgan. And so, just as a resource, not only for the board members, but for myself, and the opportunities that I get to hear some of the questions you all ask to try to help inform the different things, the suggestions you all have. It is tremendous gratitude, and I'm so grateful for both of you and for the service that you've given this district, and I wish you both well in the next adventure for both of you as you move on. And that's all I have, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Savage.
Mr. Chairman, at this time, I think that Dr. Savage can stop counting the days, the hours, the minutes. So it was a pleasure to work with you.
Thank you so much.
Ms. Morgan, your turn.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you, Chair Fisher, for your kind words, and the board for the recognition today. Thank you for the additional time. I also want to thank board member Patrica. I met her when she appeared to speak in public comment about Tea Party opposition to curriculum and testing, among other public source subjects. The depth of her knowledge, clarity of thought, and lack of concern about red shirt jeering made me seek her out and ask that she consider running for a school board seat. Thus her children's oft-used phrase, "It's all Mrs. Morgan's fault." On the board, her legal orientation toward board policy, budget, and stakeholder concerns has been the same. Understand the matter in depth, articulate simply and clearly her understanding of the matter under discussion, and offer a clear rationale for her position. She has always understood her responsibilities and role as a board member. She has been a consummate professional in her public position. Unfortunately, the red shirt antipathy was the beginning of 8 years of harassment, bullying, and invective directed at her and her family in public, at board meetings, and on social media, including from some of her board colleagues and members of the governance team as well. She kept her head down and her focus on the kids, asking, how does this decision promote student success? How does someone face that kind of pressure and continue to do exemplary work? Her family, her faith, and the attributes that made her a highly competitive, talented college athlete. She gets that the game is the vision and mission, and the decisions made toward that end game are the plays. You can yell, elbow, diss, talk smack, but her focus remained on the goal, doing what was best for students. Estero Leadership was fortunate to have Mrs. Patrica work with them to develop a local model for integrating public education goals and community building goals. And she was also acknowledged as one of the best FSBA presidents in a decade. Her focus, drive, and understanding of the political long game made her a great asset during her tenure with those with whom she partnered. I am grateful to have served with you. At the same time, I am glad to turn away from the manufactured lies spread ruthlessly, not only about Mrs. Patrica, but other members of district leadership as well. Over the past decade, disruptive actions and unwarranted comments diminished the school district, community, and district employees. Successful district governance requires shared expectations for civil conduct and accountability for meaningful discourse. I'd also like to offer some reflections about about going forward after my 12 years. Locally, on only two-year segments, that's 4 years in the past 12 years, did the board focus exclusively on its job, sometimes because the superintendent underperformed, and other times the school board underperformed, thus rarely sharing a commitment to educational initiatives and enthusiasm for district opportunities to improve student outcomes. Even when working in partnership, 2 years is insufficient time to transform a learning culture at the most basic level where it matters, schools and classrooms. You can learn to like your colleagues, but trust and respect them horizontally and vertically grows and is established over time with experience. Universally embraced expectations for performance and consistent accountability are required for substantive change. That kind of culture does not grow overnight, and repeated efforts to embed one have failed. Our present superintendent asserts SDLC has failed to track as successfully as its peers in student learning gains and proficiencies. Progress has been uneven in part because of inconsistent application of accountability for expectations. Change at the leadership level pauses progress. The move to an autocratic leadership model and loss of superintendent accountability to a governing body may bring another pause. Severing the leadership link threatens the collegial collaboration and strategic conversation and planning that support transformational change, the kind we had in two-year sessions of my 12 years on the board. I'd also like to offer some thoughts about the state. The state offers evidence that its students outperform most districts nationally. It's also true that Florida offers its educators the second lowest compensation nationally. A great return on investment until underinvestment in human capital accelerates the loss of essential employees, prompting them to seek other employment. At the same time, public education funding equity is compromised by state encouragement of student and family migration to K-12 alternatives that have less oversight and accountability for tax dollars, in addition to fewer administrative requirements and operational burdens. It facilitates the use of taxpayer dollars for use and maintenance of privately owned assets. And despite legislative efforts to control and undermine operational and capital funding referenda, some school districts, including those with whom we compete for employees, are successfully conducting referenda, winning approval, and gaining a competitive advantage for human capital, an advantage that is offsetting the equities promised by the FEFP financial model. Finally, about me. While I won't miss my seat, and I won't, I will miss the opportunities I've had to connect, collaborate, and strategize with district employees and community members over the years. I've loved working with people who care, who feel as passionately as I about the importance of high-quality education and the need for resources that meet the needs of each student. Quality public education for all is more critical than ever to prepare children to maximize their potential and become successful and productive community members. And specifically, to this school district of Lee County community, it has been an enormous pleasure to learn and grow beside you while I served as a board member. In my professional nonprofit service lifetime, I have never been in a position where I worked with more hardworking, dedicated individuals than in this school district. Each day in schools and at school performances, I see children thriving. In schools, at school events, and in meetings, I sit with educators and in sidebars, hear and feel their passion for their work and their students. The people doing the work of growing students for life and work after school, they're my heroes. You cannot begin to imagine the respect I have for each one of you. Bus drivers, cafeteria workers, custodians, teachers, support staff, and school leaders. I will miss our conversations about the important work you are engaged in every day. I am profoundly grateful for the chance to work with you. It has been a privilege and an honor I will always cherish. Thank you. And those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Morgan. We now end with Board Member Patrica.
So that's a really tough act to follow because we share a brain on so many of the issues, but you say it so much more eloquently than I am about to. And what most people, this is totally off script, what most people don't know about us is how much we fought the first 2 years on the board. Kathleen would say things to me like, if you were on the basketball court, would you yell at your teammates? And I'm like, yeah, that's how you run an offense, Kathleen. You know, like, people didn't see what happened back there. And I feel like working with you is how women should work together, supporting each other, pounding the heck out of each other, and moving forward together and growing together. So I really appreciate that. I don't appreciate the way this meeting started because it was excruciatingly embarrassing. But I love flowers. So that was an unexpected treat. Flowers are like my favorite thing. So thank you very much for that. This is meant to be like a fond farewell. It is time for me to say goodbye. And as I look back on my journey here, I realize I've got enough memories and lessons and slightly ridiculous moments to fill a reality TV show. And so I think it's time to reminisce, shall we? When I think back, I remember milestones like Common Core, school choice debates, vouchers, more vouchers, and even more vouchers, teacher pay, the great teacher shortage crisis. There were leadership changes, policy changes, and of course, a few Saturday Night Live worthy moments. Anyone here remember the skit, the Saturday Night Live skit that was about Robert E. Lee Middle School changing its name to Robert E. Lee Was Bad Middle School? I swear it was a real skit. It was October 3rd-ish of 2021, and it hit a little bit too close to home for my taste. We faced our fair share of challenges in my 8 years on the board: the vaping epidemic, evolving educational standards, a little thing called COVID, which introduced us to the joys of virtual learning, hybrid setups, and the never-ending Zoom calls. And let's not forget the hurricanes, because why not add a natural disaster or 4 to spice things up a little bit. Moving on to my best and worst. Every night at dinner in my home, we go around the table and everybody has to say what their best and worst was of the day. And since I've been here 8 years, I'm going to give some bests and worsts instead of just one. The first 2 years on this board were by far and hands down the best. And the last 2 years on this board have been a very close second. Those middle 4 years, though, let's just say that they were character building. And yes, that's code for the worst professional experience of my life. Between freewheeling board meetings, the absence of Robert's Rules of Order, leaving most meetings wondering how what was discussed by some of my fellow board members had anything at all to do with students. I frequently left this room and I would ask the question sometimes at the table, well, how does this have anything to do with kids? Some audience members who could give reality show contestants a run for their money, all of it was memorable. Thankfully, an election brought in a new level of professionalism 2 years ago, which restored a bit of my sanity. Thank you, guys. COVID was a biggie too, with challenges that spilled right into board meetings nationwide. But looking back, I know that we had a really solid team who balanced the need for quality education with the very real global health crisis as best we could. Now on to the best side of things. There's the half-penny sales tax. No other professional endeavor in my life has been more impactful or fulfilling than getting that thing across the finish line. You all might undo that good in a few years, but the fact that this community got some sorely needed new schools while avoiding taking on new debt and returning to a preventative maintenance schedule on existing facilities made those middle 4 years that were so bad actually worth it. Another best has been the opportunity to work with two great superintendents in Greg Adkins and Chris Bernier. Greg spent his entire career in Lee County, and he took his years of experience in this district and moved us forward. Chris accelerated that forward movement by relying on his experience gained in other districts and his vast network of education leaders across the state and across the nation. But the absolute best part of my time here, the people. I really can't name them all because it would take way too long and there are just too many, but I can give you an example. On Saturday, my husband and I were here in this building packing up my office. And as I took my first box out to the car, and as the door closed behind me, I realized that I left my key and my cell phone in my office. So we're standing out there in the gates, and I'm like, I can't even call Ken. Like, I can't, I don't know anyone's telephone number. What am I going to do? So I took a little jog around the building, and the building is much bigger than you would think. Jogging around it was quite the endeavor. And I was just hoping beyond hope that I would find someone who would let me in. So as I approached the east entrance, I ran into Luz Moshika, an ESE specialist who was exiting the east entrance of the building. I asked her if she could let me in, and she said no. I explained who I am and why I needed to get into my office, and she refused, citing security protocols. She did agree to go to my office and retrieve my key and my phone for me, which she did, and then when she brought it back to me, she asked for my ID to prove that I am who was on my, on my thing here. So what you need to hear from that is our staff is well trained in terms of those security protocols. That was really, unplanned sort of check on that. It was fantastic. But what really struck me is that Luz was here at 3:30 in the afternoon on a Saturday, and she was willing to take an extra 15, 20 minutes of her time to help me, a stranger. She no reason to help me. She probably wanted to get home and do something fun with the rest of her Saturday, but instead she took the time to help me. Her fidelity to our security protocols was really, really impressive. And Luz is an example of the people that I have met all over this district. In every single corner of this county, we have staff that puts other people in front of themselves every single day. And it truly has been a privilege to work alongside those people for the past 8 years. So moving on to some lessons learned. I have picked up a few lessons over these past 8 years, and it's funny because I've learned a lot from the people who sit here, but the kids are the ones who really teach me the most. What I have learned the most is that mixing politics and education is not what's best for kids. I've tried to keep a conservative viewpoint as I have sat at this table without being overly political, and I've learned that sometimes the conservative approach isn't really conservative at all. I've witnessed some appalling behavior by members of my own party in this boardroom. What we too frequently see on display is nothing more than recreational outrage. Taking to a microphone and spewing hate toward me or anyone else reflects more poorly on you than it does on me. From book bans and allowing prayer at public school sporting events to Tallahassee-dictated school start times, all while providing our teachers with the second lowest pay in the nation, my view of politics has, let's say, evolved. When I first ran for school board, I was incredibly naive. And I used to feel an immense sense of patriotism and pride when I thought about our party and what we represent. But seeing how this particular brand of sausage is made has forced that evolution in my view. And let me tell you, being a New England girl with a mouth and a brain in the South is a unique experience, to say the least. Let's just say that if my name were Christopher, assertive might not have translated to aggressive, and a passionate focus on data standards, results, and accountability might not have been translated to being a bully and lacking emotional intelligence. But hey, it built character, right? I want to end by giving a shout out to each member of the leadership team. Starting on my right, Ken, you have a sense of humor. You really do, and I've always enjoyed that in our one-on-one. Sometimes it felt like a masterclass in restraint, but I have been grateful for the laughs along the way. Sam, our debates were really fun. Honestly, the level of intellectual stimulation that you brought to my experience on this board is very much appreciated. You have the worst taste in NFL football teams. You're serving on this board at a very pivotal time for your own children. Seriously. And I'm confident that you'll continue to make them proud and that you will serve your entire community energetically. Melissa, bless your heart. Debbie, you are so engaged with your community and you work so incredibly hard. Your heart is so pure. You care deeply about the students and the staff. In my time on this board, you have been our strongest advocate for diversity and inclusivity. Keep doing that. Armor, thank you for immediately creating a safe environment to get our work done in this boardroom when you took over as chair the very night you took office. Thank you for your good humor at the table and your civility. And your love for your family and your community is absolutely evident. Jada, your potential is limitless, in my opinion. I remember when you talked about being a 7th generation Floridian, one of the most powerful things I've heard you say at this table. Those words were so impactful. You're the rare teacher who can take off the classroom hat and put on the board member hat while continuously reflecting on your time in the classroom, but understanding that your job is 30,000-foot view board member. I urge you to speak with your voice because I believe that's when you are the most effective and the most impressive. Kathleen, you started as my recruiter, the person who gave up her seat in the single-member District 3 as a means of encouraging me to run while taking on the much more difficult election to District 7. You became my mentor on the campaign trail. You continued to mentor me with your actions after I got on the board because Sunshine precluded us from talking about anything education related, and now you are my forever friend. And my life is tremendously enriched by having you in it. When my kids were younger and board meetings ran late or became overly contentious, my kids would jokingly say it's all Mrs. Morgan's fault. So thank you, Kathleen, even though it's all your fault. Thank you to my current colleagues for keeping things civil and for showing our students that it's possible to disagree with respect. Please, I urge you to continue to look beyond Lee County for fresh ideas and don't let things get too political. Thank you, all of Lee County, for an unforgettable journey. It's been a wild ride and one I'll never forget. Those are my comments.
Thank you, Ms. Patrica, for your comments. Next scheduled meetings of this board, Tuesday, November 19th, we invite the members of the public to join us at the oath of office, which will be held here starting at 3 p.m., followed by a regular action meeting at 6 p.m. Adjournment of the 2022-2024 school board is at this point. So having no other business to come before this body and seeing no objection, this meeting is adjourned. The time is 7:30 PM. Great job, everyone, and have a great evening.